Alright, today is Thursday, February 5th. This is the first meeting of the Negotiations Committee, which is a new committee that was put together. Call the roll call. I am here. Councilmember Carson.
Here.
Councilmember Marks.
Here.
We're all here. My apologies for the last meeting. I got called into a last minute meeting and I didn't have time to tell anybody, so I apologize that whole thing went awry. We had to cancel. So, there is no minutes because we never had a meeting yet. And Dan, would you like to say something? Is that?
If you like.
Okay, go ahead.
I certainly don't want to interfere with the process, but since it's a new committee, it's your first meeting, I wanted to be available to answer any questions as far as process goes and how we can make this committee a productive one. And I think setting expectations is a really good thing at the beginning as far as what you can hopefully accomplish this committee that will advance the initiatives of the council generally. And so the vision with this, I know I've probably discussed this individually, but provided here, since you're here, is that there are a number of initiatives that require compromise with the city, with different partners or different entities around the city that will be necessary for review before you can execute a contract. And so in my observations through 2025 and before, and in discussion with council members, it seems like creating a space for early opportunity for council members to get your eyes on the things that will be instrumental for the advancement of various city initiatives will be very helpful. So that way you can give feedback and maybe some guidance for those departments that may be entering into different contracts that might be consequential for city business. And so that was sort of the idea here, so that there's a space for you to look at that. So it's sort of like what it is and what it's not. And what it is that opportunity for you to give feedback to Greg or Dave, whoever it is that might be engaging in a contract. But it's not necessary for you to negotiate the contracts. Like that, I don't expect you to have to go to all these different negotiations. But I think Greg would have some guidance on certain things so that you can ask questions so that as they develop the contracts, they will incorporate some of the principal elements that you would find beneficial to the city. So like things like some agenda items each month may be more complicated than others. That's just how committees work. Sometimes you have more robust agenda than other times. So that's how I envision this work, and I hope that as you go through the process and work through the various topics, that maybe you have some suggestions on how you can make this work better. So when I put together like the description of the negotiations committee, I put a sort of a broad statement saying that the committee, items that are eligible for committee review are the things that require essentially negotiated terms, like for real estate, lease, sale, or acquisition, as well as collective bargaining agreements or other things for which terms need to be negotiated before a contract can be entered into. And that would therefore put like purchase orders outside, and that would still go through the finance, right? So we try to make a clear pathway. This is a negotiations committee, this is a finance committee. And we might need to massage that a little bit and maybe refine it to make it more useful for you. So as you go through this, if you have any ideas, don't think that this is a concrete process. It's certainly one that we're hoping to build together and make it productive. If you have any questions for me, I'll stick around. Or I'll just,
You may want to stick around for the Casella one since you've been talking.
Yeah, sure. You want to get into that?
We can always put that up to the front. I don't want to get in trouble, but.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
And that's why Brian's here.
Yeah.
You know?
So like, this is where certain things will come to Greg or to Dave or whoever, and then they'll come on the agenda. And so the Casella one is the one where I saw your email. I kind of responded to it. Is that it's not one that I put on the agenda or asked that we put on the agenda for ratification or pushing through the council, but your opportunity to look at what it would mean to enter a lease agreement with Casella as a potential solution to the waste management downtown. So there are still some steps to be taken, and as far as the task force that Don Matheson has led, there's really more like a final conclusion to it. And unfortunately, it's been, as you know, stalled because he hasn't been feeling well the last 2 weeks or so. So I'm hoping that you'll have some thoughts on it. You can share it with Greg or Dave, and then as they think about the construction of that contract, they can consider those things that you might be thinking of as they incorporate that. But it's still something that has to be reviewed through. not intended to be an action item, but more intended to be a discussion item, just so you know.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
So there may not be any action on it tonight. We're gonna discuss this. We're gonna put our concerns out there.
Yeah.
Greg and Dave will hear our concerns. Dave will tell us either we're way out in left field, we got nothing to worry about, or, you know.
What I want you to think more of is not so much like in the legalese of what a contract might say, but sort of
Yeah.
principal terms of it. You know, like how, like the length, the concessions on it, as far as how you implement it, like the duration, like if you want to be 5 years, if it's just normal, if there's a fee amount that you want to be added to it, those kind of things. You don't necessarily need to get into the nitty gritty of the actual lease agreement, but the things that you would want it to be represented so that you're doing your job as council members, being careful with the public assets that we're in charge of, so that when you enter an agreement like this, you're doing so with a clear objective that will be achieved through doing so.
So, we'll just keep going with Casella. So I had the privilege of sitting down with Adam and Greg and the mayor, discuss some of the contract and some of the not really the contract, but what overall we're looking at doing. And so what they're looking at doing is they're gonna bring in a compacting dumpster for their, not residents, their customers. And they're gonna build a chute, and they're gonna have access to that chute, which I believe was a key fob, if I remember right, so that only those people can access that. There's gonna be cameras on it, they're fenced in, and then the electric that goes to it. Some of the stuff that we kicked around in there was, who would be responsible for electric hookup, who would be responsible for building the fence, who's gonna be responsible if we pave it, and how do we make sure that it's clean, it's gonna be a safe place, and overall make sure that like somebody can't shove mattresses down there and stuff like that, and, you know.
Really? Shut that, do it, I'm shocked,
I know.
shocked.
And honestly, how much investment that Casella could put into it, you know? Well, we kind of asked for the moon, and we're waiting for some feedback back from Casella on how much they could do. And then how much we might be able to do in-house to help maybe offset some of this as well. We also discussed that because Casella was, there at the table, but Logan wasn't. How does this work with Logan? And we found out that Logan did talk to us on some occasions, not I say us, but like to Greg and his team, of they can't necessarily not big enough to afford something like a compactor, but what they have is their clients take out, whether it's another day or every day, out to the curb, their garbage, and Logan's comes down through and picks it up early in the morning. So, we are trying to be fair as we do this to other haulers, and we don't want to, as we said, we're trying to be careful we don't have a monopoly going. So, that was the gist of that meeting. So, just to bring you all up to speed. So now with that, I'll open it up to what other people. I know Brian had sent us a detailed email with some questions and stuff. I'm sure you guys have questions. We'll see what we can get answered.
Okay, so are we looking at this possible chute to compactor system? I've looked a few of these up, I'm not familiar with them. Would that be in the current spot at 27 Market, or are we looking at this being constructed at 47 Market?
It'll be 47 Market out by the elevator. There's a spot out between the elevator and the hotel that we own, and we would have to have to blacktop it in, and then put the fence up there, and they would have to run the electric to there, which I think they were going to take off by the elevator building, if I remember right.
So it's on city property?
It's on city property. That's why we're trying to have some type of lease. With the parking garage, from what if I remember, what I understand from Greg in the meeting was, we could never really find anything that was in writing. It was more of a gentleman's thing of, here it is, it's fenced in, you guys can go ahead and use this underneath the parking garage, and we're just trying to make sure we get away from some of those agreements, that we have something written to protect the city
Sure.
and, you know, the one that wants to use the property and stuff.
So, the businesses that would be, so that's at 47 Market Street, so we're not even looking at 27 Market. So would that just, would the, only the Water Street section of Main Street, would that be the residents and the restaurants? Clinton Plaza, who would have access to this?
To clients of Casella, whoever,
Oh, any of, okay, any clients of Casella
yep, that get that key fob.
that get the key fob, okay.
Okay, great. We'll talk more about this too, I'll share with you, but, he had estimated like twice a week they would do pickups there, and then anyone that signs up for that service would then be allowed to use it, therefore they can access the thing. So it could be a business, it could be a resident.
For example, Springbrook, if they
Yeah.
chose, okay.
Yeah, it would be essentially locked, you would use that thing, opens the thing, and you put your trash down.
Mhm.
He anticipates based on volume, which could be changed, he thinks it'll be picked up twice a week. It's, I think it was 35-yard, two 35-yard containers, so it hold a lot.
They
But,
have one recycling, one,
Oh, okay.
garbage. They would have, like with cameras, they also have some type of, you know how he said it, but like a sensor or something there, that when it starts getting full, they'd be the only ones to be able to compact it, to make sure that for safety reasons, because they didn't want everybody being able to go down there and compact it. The drivers would have to do a safety check on it. It'd also be sealed up so it wouldn't leak. Garbage truck might leak, but the dumpster's not supposed to.
Mhm.
So, because of the stuff from the restaurant.
Yeah.
Fence is gonna be tied into, to look like what we got down there.
So, there would be two different containers, one for food waste and then, and other, and then the second one would be for recyclable?
That's the way I took it. Was that, was two like that, right, Greg? 235s?
Yeah, that's what Eddie said.
Okay,
I know the one thing we talked about with cameras, I don't remember where we left off with it. I think it's still negotiation, was who would all be able to see it? Was, you know, would it just be Casella, or would it be Casella maybe to the police department? Would it be, you know, or tied in with the cameras that are down there already? So whoever monitors those, I don't know, but, so that we could, you know,
who would be responsible for the cost of cameras?
They, what Casella told us is that these compactors, they put their own cameras wherever they have these other places, in their service area, so that would be their cost. The city
That would
has,
Be their cost, not ours.
right, the city already has a number of security cameras
Yes.
tied into this,
Mhm.
police station in that area, so we wouldn't look to install it anymore. So whether or not their cameras could be tied into our system, if they were willing to do that and
Mhm.
wanted to, that would be something we could talk about, but we didn't get to that level yet.
Okay, so what would be the city's responsibility as far as maintenance, cost, you know, just generally speaking, and maybe more specific, what is the city's role in this, commercial waste compactor?
We wouldn't contribute to any of the costs associated with the compactor itself or its operation. Casella, I would expect, you know, would be part of the agreement we'd have to negotiate with them. I would expect they would pay for the cost of the fence and gating and the electric hookup and the compactors themselves. The only thing that I have to get a price together with Public Works to send them what it will cost if we were to pave it. And ultimately, you know, Casella, I'd imagine, would make a decision as to whether or not this makes economic sense for them and their business model to go forward. So if we tell them that we're only going to enter this lease
might look like, and also alternatives to this. To reschedule, because Don needs to, we have to wait for him. But we'll do a final meeting to answer any and all questions about this, plus what Don had discussed as far as alternatives. And the major concerns that I had, that we expressed to Casella's representative, is the cost to consumers. And he said two things. One is they're gonna match prices to Logan's if someone decided to go from Logan's to this, if they were using that before. And they're gonna keep the prices the same if you're already using Casella. So it's gonna be a flat cost to consumers. The second question is, well, for how long? You know, protection for consumers so that, you know, year one, maybe we do that, but year two, I don't, you know, that's something that, as the leaseholder, if you want to think about, putting them, you know, to test on that. But there was a fair amount of assurances that costs will not change after this installation to existing customers, nor those that might switch over from Logan's.
Are you done?
Do you want to? Well, I was just.
Oh, I
wondering-
have questions.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. The size of the compactor on the ground, Greg, what size are we dealing with here?
They told us 35 yard
Two.
cubic yard. The actual dimensions.
So, about 10 by 10, 10 by, well, we have two
I think
containers.
they're
so
more
we're-
rectangular, I'm not sure the dimensions.
Right. I would like to know what size of real estate. And then, I understood the installation of the infrastructure would be no cost to the city, but are they getting their own meter for the electric to run this compactor?
That would be up to them to figure that out. I don't know that I think they put their engineering on pause, understanding that there's still discussion about what the solution the city is interested in pursuing maybe. But that would be my understanding from our discussion so far, be up to them.
Right, so no cost to the taxpayers even on a monthly basis, right, annual? Okay. And then, what was the determining factor, was it from the task force or somewhere else for why we went to a chute design to begin with? I'm just curious.
The other option would naturally be using the stair tower and elevator. And I
Right.
think that would be problematic, bringing trash through those areas. I think you'd end up having spills on a more frequent basis. It might get a little messy.
Mm-hmm.
So having a chute seemed to be a cleaner option.
Okay, so along the lines of the chute, the mayor said that there's a fob, so that's the safety override, so there's never an opportunity for someone to bypass this, because I have two concerns, one for the chute, and someone ever taking a ride down the chute, and or landing in the compactor, and how they would actually exit the compactor if they made it inside the chute.
And that'd be the question for Casella in their design.
Okay, and then, would there be a bypass that we could think of to not use the chute and go with, is there a cleaning staff that cleans our stairwell and elevator shaft on a week basis, monthly basis, is that?
We're in
I
there
don't know
daily,
what's-
yeah.
Huh?
We're in there daily.
Yeah, so is there, maybe, is that a way to keep the cost down? Because the mayor was talking about is, you know, making sure that the consumer doesn't see an increase in price. I'm sure that the chute and or the whole compactor is gonna have a substantial number to it.
We will get more details and have that for that meeting, so we can piece it down, but he I think indicated to be about, we had Greg wrote it down, I think $110,000.
I didn't write it down, but yeah. it was-
110, and that would include, I'm not sure if that includes paving, that would be the fencing, the compactors, and building and installing the chute. And he said, I think it'd be about a 2-month from the time they submit their order for the compactors. They receive the compactors, they put a seal on it so that it's a leak on the bottom, and then they install it, and then they build it. He said, guys, I don't remember, someone within Casella in-house builds the chute to
Mm.
then attach it. So there was still some work to be done, because we're going through the process of evaluating, they didn't want to go too far in case we didn't go with them.
Mhm.
So we could certainly ask more questions as far as the visualization of how that would work. But that's how he raised it, is that they would have to customize a chute because of the location, the size, that, and all that, and they do that in-house. They haven't done it like this on other projects, but they have done chutes, for other areas.
Right.
So if, well, I guess we'd have to see also how many of the business owners, Springbrook, so and so, would they buy into it? Or what if people, I mean, have we surveyed to see how many people would be interested in this type of,
Don had done.
is that what Don's
Actually
doing?
gone around and talked to some folks, get their
Okay.
input, what they would want, and get that input, and then talk to Excel to get a little more details as far as some of the cost elements attached to it. And then having, like I said, again, because I was feeling well, we haven't,
Yeah.
I was hoping to switch it like this week and next week, but it might have to be another week after. Do another invite for downtown merchants and residents, whoever, to come and ask questions about this particular plan relative to essentially the alternatives. And then ask questions about usage and fees and all that. And, so to get in there, if they want, and to be clear, I'm not trying to push it one way or the other. I just wanna make sure we have transparency and then we can see exactly what we're getting. And then not just we, but as a city, but we as, community members that would be utilizing, potentially utilizing.
So they still would have the option to go
Yeah,
the
they would have
traditional
to,
route,
it's not-
yes.
It's not required, but it would
Mhm.
certainly be, if you're running one of the, like Asian cuisine or a Gila Deli, it would probably be advantageous to do this as opposed to those, we call it the ones that roll in and out.
Mm,
But that's for them to decide.
Yes,
It's,
mhm.
it's not required.
I'm just thinking in terms of, like, for example, distance from Clinton Plaza all the way down to 47,
Yeah.
you know, is it really worth the same amount of money if I can do, you know, my traditional way? Why would I take my trash all the way down to a chute?
Well, in a sense, I think the idea is that this would replace those dumpsters that are at 27 Market Street.
Mm.
That would be insensible. But I'm not sure that's even traditional because those were put there after the garage was knocked
Right,
down.
yes,
And that
mhm.
building was knocked down as sort of a, we need to put trash cans somewhere. So this was viewed as a way to make a permanent solution. So we're not necessarily sure, not sure what business as usual would look like. So that's why we want to make sure we get feedback from everyone.
Mhm.
So that way, once we get into it, that we have a plan that everyone thinks is the right
Mhm.
plan.
I mean, it would be very convenient for that section of Water Street, but I'm thinking in terms of Clinton Plaza.
Well, I don't think Clinton Plaza used those dumpsters.
Oh, they did.
When we had it set originally
okay,
within
so
the
there's-
confines of the
mhm.
garage, right? So I don't know if any of the businesses or
Would
residents are
even-
using it now because of the current location, but, this was the area that you're referencing to, so this is the elevator shaft, is this the area that you're talking about? I saw on the backside, you described it from
Yeah,
the elevator shaft to
yeah,
the,
right there.
so how is Casella making entry into that with a truck?
Because there's enough room that they can pull right up,
A
get it.
truck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
That was my first question, how you fitting that truck in there?
Right, and so I started off with asking about the size of the compactor because I was just wondering, can the building owners of Water Street look at smaller compactors located on their property? And I honestly don't remember, Greg, where the city line begins or ends from the sidewalk. You know, from Water Street, approximately from the pavement in, where does our property line end?
Roughly, you know, where the fire escapes are.
Mm-hmm.
So the front of those, there used to be, prior to this project years ago, a white line that was painted there. That was roughly the property line. It wasn't a surveyed thing, but the issue there is that's front yard. And you, it's not yard, but you can't put dumpsters there and leave them there. You couldn't leave your toters outside all the time. You didn't have dumpsters. That was the case, I guess, decades ago, when the city originally entered, when it
Mhm.
was the handshake agreement to allow bulk cell loads to go underneath the garage, because they were trying to consolidate work with the haulers to figure out what the best sense solution may be.
Right.
Some places, I think, maybe Scott had mentioned, the Logan's, I think Tino's one of their customers, that every day or every other day, however often they need to, they keep their trash inside, they bring it out to the curb, they pick it up and bring it back in the morning. That's not an option for everyone without making changes to their business footprint and that kind of thing, so, you know, there are different options for different customers, and ultimately, I think, you know, to your point, Caroline, who would be using it, I think that's really between Casella and their customers. If Casella feels it's an investment they're willing to make, that would tell me that based on their conversations with customers, that they would have enough business doing this solution, but I don't know.
Okay.
So like David, I kind of chuckled about the whole mattress thing, because Scott will attest that that's literally what I was talking about before this meeting started, was the furniture and the mattresses, because that's what was going on historically at that location with the park garage. And just being honest, this new location literally asked for the same thing to happen. I mean, if you threw a mattress over the walk-in ramp going into the stair tower over the edge, you could easily do that. So I don't know how you're gonna address that concern. I just think the location
No,
has.
it's not gonna be an open unit.
I understand that.
Okay,
Yeah, no, I understand, but it's kinda on the backside of our.
Yeah, I see what you're saying too.
And it's like, and so I don't know whether our camera systems are gonna pick it up, and do we really wanna go into the investigation of mattresses and furniture that gets tossed over down into the dumpster? I'm just wondering if we were looking at smaller compactors that the building owners, they could invest into their business model for their clients would be a better suit. I mean, if Casella's already picking up trash every 3 days, it seems as though you could be looking at smaller compactors that could be on site, and especially from the front of the stairwell, from the stairwell, the emergency egress stairwells, there seems to be room. I mean, I understand what you're getting at. The legislation could probably be suggested that we would no longer consider that the front yard, but allow, in this particular case, this piece of real estate would get allow compactors if they protruded out. I mean, some of these buildings, there are space to have a compactor, and so I don't know.
I think it's a good question. I wonder though, it might be more expensive for them to have their own as opposed to a larger, kind of scale kind of thing. I don't know the numbers though.
Doesn't have to necessarily be compact, it's either just a regular dumpster, or it could be the totes.
Correct. I mean, I sent a link to one of the city staff several months ago when we first started talking about this. There's a company that literally puts their containers, majority of it's in the ground. Actually, 3/4 of the container is in the ground, and all you see is a dome, and that dome can be aesthetically changed to have teak wood or walnut or something, just to make it aesthetically pleasing. And what happens is the core temperature of the earth, everybody knows, is 52 degrees to 55 degrees, and so majority of that will start compacting itself, decomposing within its own container. And then like Casella, instead of 110,000, they literally have a boom that goes on a truck, picks up this unit, and it automatically drops the trash into their existing dump truck that they have, and they put it back. It's usually about a 3 to 5 minute evolution. So,
I was gonna say everyone knows about the temperature of the ground.
well,
I'm not sure.
either way, it helps decompose garbage. So,
I was thinking about what you said too, as far as that dome, maybe, I don't know if it's possible, maybe, but with this option, like some sort of a roofing on it to prevent people from.
yeah, you won't be able to make entry into it. Typically, you'd have your garbage, your recyclables, and then another container. But I can share that link with anybody that's interested.
And the site upkeep, payment, the pavement, ice, snow, is that the city's responsibility in that area with this, where this might?
I would think that would be Casella's responsibility as far as, I mean, the city would clear the driveway access to the parking lot, which would double as the access to the front of the gate there. So imagine the gate would be flush with the front face of that stair tower
Okay.
building. So there's not a whole lot of snow removal would need to be done by Casella, but we wouldn't be doing
But they,
more than we
they
do
would
now.
be able to reach it.
Yeah, they might have to clear out right in front of the gate or inside it.
So, ton of questions.
Mhm.
Probably, you need to still have your meeting with the,
Yeah, it sounds like most of your questions are more geared towards getting the input from folks downtown, which I'm hoping that meeting I set up with Don will help gather some of those questions, comments, and otherwise, so that so that you can make a decision as far as, if you wanna move forward with it or not.
the questions from Casella, I think, are more like the electrics, right? Who's gonna be
Yeah.
responsible for it?
Mhm.
How much are they going to invest in it to clean up if they get messy around it?
Yeah.
Making sure that it's safe for people so nobody can surf down it.
Thank you.
He mentioned some safety mechanisms on it, and I'm hoping that he can expand on that.
Yeah, I don't remember 100% what they were.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how that works. I agree, like, if someone has a fob, you know, like, something like, but I'm not sure that's what I would call fun, but, you know, who knows?
Have they done this in the local Casella, that's who we're looking at. Have they done this in other,
Yeah, well, they have a number, he says they buy, I don't know how many compactors a year,
they do?
probably over 100 or 200, you know, throughout their service territories.
Mhm.
This is a very common thing for them.
Okay.
What's different though is the customization that would be required for the chute to fit in where they're thinking. That's unique that he described, but the chute, compact, all that stuff, not unique.
Okay.
Yeah, I know many years ago when I worked up at the high school, they had a compactor up there.
High school.
Oh, I had fun with that.
Is it still there?
Yeah, I think so. I think they probably still have the
Do
compactor.
we use it? I don't think we do.
It's
So,
the
Greg,
custodial does.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Greg, do we have cameras on our stair tower that would face the it's not balcony, is that a walking platform back over to Water Street from the stair tower elevator shaft? Do we have cameras there? Because I'm assuming that the chute, the beginning of the chute is gonna be on that walking platform. And then,
I believe we have cameras that are covering that whole area, not exactly, I have to look and see.
right,
Just check.
right, so I just don't want that to be a dumping area.
Mhm.
And then if that's really, so people are walking by, they're gonna be looking at the head of a chute. So are these people gonna have to lift the trash up over the railing to get into the chute?
And that, I would ask Casella, what is their design, what do they propose? They haven't proposed anything specific, details like that yet, it's kind of on hold, so.
He said if we wanted to move forward, they would get the engineer and draw all that up. We didn't want to go that far, if that's not the direction we want to go. But he did say that if you decide to do this, then, they could do a quick turnaround on a lot of the sites that plan to make this. Didn't seem to, from my view, didn't seem to be the larger concern. Larger concern is the people that would utilize it, and
Mhm.
how they would fold into the thing that's being developed in that area.
Right. Well, I think you raise a good point about cost, right? So is the cost gonna go up per bag in the coming years?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that they'll give us some assurances if we're to move forward with granting the lease for the space, that they would, because this is not, in my view, it's not necessarily trying to get a dollar amount on a lease payment or anything from them. It's about, if we allow them to use the space to serve customers, we want to make sure that they're serving them fairly. And because there would be limited options in the alternative, we want to make sure, especially that that is done fairly for them.
So currently at 27 Market Street, do we have a list of which land, businesses are using, the ones that are, currently at 27 Market.
He said there's, I think, there's a Logan in Casella. so
Yeah, right,
he was-
Logan too.
He doesn't have Logan, but, I think he said there's, he didn't have a list, the roster, maybe you know, but he said 6 or 7, customers for that unit.
For what's currently there.
Logan has more customers, but yeah, that's probably.
Yeah.
So would that eliminate Logan completely? Unless the others didn't buy into this?
No, I think the idea is that this larger thing over by the staircase would then be the large system in this area, and then those dumpsters, Logan and Sella at 27 Market Street would then be, that would be finished as far as use of those. So Logan customers, they could either, that's why we asked, and if we develop some assurances, if you're currently using Logan's, and then essentially Casella is using the options, then that would be, they're gonna match prices.
Okay.
That's what he said. Maybe we can get that in writing or searches. If the customer's using Logan's that doesn't want to use it, they're welcome to keep using Logan's, but it would have to be like toters or whatever going out.
Right, they'd have to
Not the dumpsters.
bring, like, residential, you'd have to bring it
Yeah.
out and,
Yeah, like
bring
the
it
stuff. They can still make the choice, but the dumpster choice would essentially be this, the dumpster choice, and the rest would be,
Yeah, it's
You know,
July 2024, so
yeah, call it
it's all
the
changed.
residential version.
It's the-
and, going back to maintenance, because I was reading about these commercial trash compactors, about wet waste. So right now, given we're using the traditional dumpsters, really concerned about some of the restaurants with, waste with high, what they're called high liquid content. How do we know that, I'm really concerned, because I've seen the way things have been,
Elsewhere.
yeah, and because I've been watching other areas in downtown about waste disposal and lack of,
The grease traps.
Yeah. And I'm just really concerned about the wet waste, and how that could really damage the component, and who's going, if it stops working, even if it's not that reason,
Mhm.
then you can't use it,
Mhm.
so now what do you do?
Mhm.
Part of owning a business, you gotta send your guys out to repair it. You know?
And,
Right.
yeah, and what is their track record with repairing? And how often will they,
Well, that's why you kinda have leases.
Yeah.
If something happens, they gotta make sure they clean it up. Speaking from where I'm at up at work, their drivers, if they make a mess, their drivers have to get up and clean it up. I don't send my guys back out, so.
Hartwick, do they use any, or just?
No, actually,
traditional?
we're talking about using compactors up there. We just haven't gone further with it for our, but there's also changing legislation in New York State that's been stalled. It's been supposed to, with recycling waste and your food waste and stuff like that. So, but it was supposed to take effect and then the state cut it, so now we're not sure where we're kind of in limbo. But they have a good track record with us up there coming up and fixing stuff. Any problems we have.
Casella,
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is, have the meeting, I'll call it Don's meeting, that we're gonna do to wrap up the task force as far as getting feedback, and then report it back to you, so that at your next meeting, you can, have some more specifics as far as what the moving forward with Excel would look like.
Okay.
So,
Sounds good.
I think, if I'm gathering, most of your concerns are just like ours, that it's hard to track this once it's done.
Mm.
So make sure you get it right, and that people downtown are treated fairly, and that they have fair access to this, and it's a good solution.
And that aesthetically, it's pleasing to everybody
Yeah.
else, and they understand why we did it. But
Yeah.
I don't know, for me right now, I gotta be honest with you, Dan, it's a bit of an eyesore having that compactor in that position, in that location on the chute head.
Yeah, it does, well, yes, it does sound, you have to get a visual, right, a half to a mock-up of what it look like.
Right.
And maybe that's something we can work out, is something to make it a little bit prettier,
Right.
aesthetically around it, at the same time preventing people from dumping their specific events.
Right.
So, yeah, those are all things that we can work out to make it work.
Right, and I think Carolyn brought up the point originally is how many and who are actually interested in this to begin with.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so can those building owners pursue the other avenues, meaning, do they have space to hold their own refuge for 3 days and then bring it out, make an agreement with Casella, or if it's the city's land that they're gonna slide it out to, that on those, every 3 days, that they're being picked up?
That's what I'm hoping the meeting with Don and some other, get some feedback from people, will kind of describe to us what their needs are.
Yeah.
And if this actually is a good solution for those needs. I'm thinking if I ever lived in an apartment, I don't really have a trash solution within the building, but, it does sound like a good option in some respects. But we want to make sure we don't have the blinders on,
Yeah.
and miss something.
Right.
Would the legislative committee just entertain the idea maybe of changing the code down there along that street to allow
Mhm.
the toters, I call them toters, or,
Right, I mean, it's a little interesting that the back of the buildings is considered the front of the building.
yeah. Just
Well,
see,
because you know as well as I do, that where's the address coming in for the enunciated panels? So,
The other friend.
on the main street.
Main Street, that's where the enunciated panel addresses are. They're all for Main Street. You just had to figure it out that you gotta go back onto Water Street to actually make entries, but, so. And then if you really want, go talk to the post office, they'll tell you really where it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another thing, maybe at your next legislative, would you just see if they would even entertain doing that? For, you know,
For Water Street, yeah.
cause then maybe obviously, if we maybe change the code to be able to do that, or maybe that's what they're interested in, and, you know, so.
Can I just get 2 minutes?
Sure.
Well,
Go ahead, Ryan.
So, yeah, I got pretty involved with this back in July and August. The city, shut down or sent 90-day notice, as you know, to both garbage haulers. So kind of put that whole area in a panic. One of the garbage haulers kind of encouraged me to, keep an eye on things. We were stepped up our game, keeping the area clean on 27 Market Street. And there were, some furniture and outfitters just showing up there. We didn't know who was dropping this stuff off. So we figured out, initially it was like, just random people from outside are doing it. But, we got all that figured out as some building owners on Water Street that are, and even some restaurant owners that are dumping things that they shouldn't be. So we confronted people. We got a lot of that straightened out. So in that whole process, we've learned a lot. And I guess one thing I'd like to look at the restaurants, or I think you guys should look at the restaurants as one group and the residents as another group, and seriously consider just starting this compactor off with just the residents that live on Water Street, because putting all doing the residents and the restaurants, like taking everything from 27 Market Street and putting it all through that chute, I think it's going to be overwhelming. There's a lot of trash that goes through 27 Market Street right now. Those dumpsters are every 2 days they're filled up, they're overflowing, and it's just to keep that area clean. It definitely takes effort. These restaurants have a lot of employees that really we've gotten some of them to respect the rules, but there's always new people. They don't just wheel stuff down there and dump like a lot of greasy wet stuff on the ground. So I think keeping the area clean is a top priority. The other thing, I definitely strongly disagree with leaving garbage cans out on Water Street. Right now we got just a couple of, we only putting garbage cans, we really gotta consolidate, all the garbage in one or two places. We can't have like restaurants putting garbage cans out. And to answer the one other questions, I think only Springbrook has the capability to store garbage pails inside it. I don't think anyone else has, from my observation, I don't think anyone else has space inside to store garbage pails. So you're gonna, I don't think we should set ourselves up for having garbage cans all over Water Street and Plaza and up and down, possibly Main Street too.
I need to be someplace
So
at
that was
6.
it.
And is there, it was scheduled from 5 to 6, is there something else, is there another topic, another contract that needs my input on? Is there anything hot that you need my, because so far I haven't had any input at all on any of this, which is what I hope, which I hope will be the future of the committee, that you don't need my input, because I'm happy to work on the drafting. If somebody just tells me what you want, we can incorporate it
Right.
into the
I wasn't really
agreement.
sure why you were coming, actually, so.
Because the mayor told me it had to be.
I didn't say it that way.
Next time you should.
Yes,
No, I
yes,
think
you
we're
did.
just going over them, and then when we
Okay.
get to the final one, if we think
Well,
we
then,
need to, we'll let you know.
then I
and
will hit the road, but.
We'll let
but
you
again,
go,
I'm
Jim.
happy to, if you have any questions, you know, get a hold of me, and he gets a hold of me even better, and he gets a hold of me so many times. It's very maybe, but I'm happy to
I'll
have you here.
I'll ask you one question for you.
Sure.
Is there a reason why the lease agreements between the Little League, between those two contracts that were sent to us, those two agreements are different? Meaning one has the mayor signing and the other one is, I don't know, somebody else?
I think the first one is a duplicate of the one that's already in place. The second was proposed because it's for new property that hasn't been, and one is city property, and one's already been improved and they have long-term. So it's being treated as a completely separate operation, is what I understand.
Right, so the new lease, right, isn't, I guess, reflective of what you had before, but I'm referring to
Yeah.
this Swart Wilcox, Richard Murphy Field. You have the mayor signing off on that, and,
I think that's just because whoever submitted it as a proposal hadn't put it in yet.
I can speak to that. So there's two existing agreements we have. Rich Murphy Field is the field that's on Swart Wilcox property that's closest to the tree line, closest to the major league field on Swart
I
property.
understand.
The second field is Little League Field number 2. Those two agreements were entered into at 2 different times in the past. So those are the two agreements that are shared. We haven't drafted a new one. What we'd like to do, since those are expired or expiring, is just have one agreement that covers both those fields. And then now Little League would like to use, not to build, as far as I understand, not to build another field, but to use the area where soccer used to be played, and I understand hasn't been in a number of years.
right.
So additional area on city property for practicing or whatever other purposes. So I would like to say let's have one agreement that covers it all. I was sharing those for reference as we had before.
Yeah, I don't know about whether, so you were thinking about incorporating the third as yet unwritten agreement in the other two as well?
Yeah, the two are kind of expired, so we had one that
Okay.
defines
Because-
everything.
Okay. But it's all on city property now. These leases are not part of the original fields, these are all ours.
This is all on Swirl Wilcox property.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it wouldn't have anything to do with the
Okay.
Sixth Ward
Got it.
property.
Okay.
Right, so instead of having 2 or maybe 3 leases, we're gonna have 1, because it's literally one parcel, and that's what I was gonna
It's
suggest.
a good question, because I didn't know the answer to it.
If you'd stayed longer, I'd have more.
If you, do you
Next
have
time.
another one, I'm happy
It's
to.
okay, Dave. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I appreciate it. There.
That's how you get more questions, you just stand up.
You have any questions? Yeah. See you later.
So I think, circle back, not to cut you off, but I think we got,
That's it. Yeah, thanks for,
yep, that's fine. So I think we kind of got marching orders for Casella. I think we got enough concerns going back to the resident, or the business
No, I
owners and
think my
stuff.
comments are very helpful.
And then-
And we should bring forward at that meeting to make sure we get everything in the air so that we can settle in on what is the right step forward.
And then we got the questions like for Greg, for Casella, and possibly legislative, just to entertain some stuff if, about possible code changes. Sound right? Sound good?
Mhm.
Are we talking code changes that would allow, I personally would not wanna see each individual store owner having something outside. If
Well,
you
we're not
just-
debating if we're gonna do it or not, we're
Oh,
just gonna
okay.
see if they're gonna if they would entertain it as another solution to a problem, that's all.
Oh, okay.
That's all we're asking legislative to do
Okay.
right now.
All right.
And then if they decide they're gonna draft up some type of legislation and stuff like that, they would go back and forth down there
Okay.
and then bring something up to us. Not to us, but to the council.
Right.
So,
And the logging,
You want me for anything else? I thought that was kind of one that needed a little bit of, just got a little bit.
yeah,
yeah, no.
yeah, I think you're good. I think we kinda hammered that one for a while. I think we can move on.
Yeah, like I said, the other ones, some of them may need more time than others. It's just that I want to get your eyes on some of the stuff that seem like we could.
No, but there's a lot with that one. so.
Yeah, there is. Mhm.
It's a big one, and stuff like, it's probably not a lot of money, but it's still an impactful one.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
important.
Yep. Okay, thanks. You wanna go to Little League since we started that one?
Okay.
And now as we're rolling, I kind of understand what's going on. We're gonna get the topics down a little bit, so we're not so much on. So, then you wanna, Greg, you wanna start what we're doing here, and then I know Len started having questions, and we just keep going.
Regarding the Fort Wilcox property?
Yeah, this is just you wanna take three
So-
spots that they have and come underneath one lease.
Yeah, take what they have now, put it under one lease, and then they also wanna use additional green space right next to those two fields. My understanding, I didn't speak to them directly, they contacted Chris Yakuchi, but they wanna use it, I think, for practice or without making physical improvements to it. So if that's something we're open to, then I would go back with them and figure out exactly what they want, draft an agreement, and then bring that back through for review.
Yeah, so I'm really good with that. We've never had any other organizations interested in any of that green space, correct?
Well, it's, Carolyn, I'm looking at you because you're on Parks and Rec, you might have a better idea when those were last used for the rec soccer league, I think it's been
Oh.
a few years. I played in it a long
Very
time ago.
long
and I-
time, no, yeah.
Well, if I like, we can go back.
Yeah, let's not go back that far.
Wow.
I do remember people playing soccer back there, but
Oh, I do too, because I played,
I played
believe it
back
or not.
there.
that was, yeah, that was a
So-
decade.
So Greg, are they looking at that, that's the space, the additional space?
Yeah, right.
Okay, and soccer's, and, yeah, I know, yeah. And
So
they,
Greg's intention about just getting all of that real estate into one
One.
lease agreement makes
Mhm.
sense,
I
because
agree.
they were two very similar documents.
It was just that one happened and then the other one happened a few years later,
Right.
so we added to it.
I know they've had a very,
I guess unless you wanna put a clause in there that, like that soccer field area, if another organization wants to temporarily use it, they should be allowed to, I don't know. But if no one's, if there's an interest or a possibility that somebody might wanna use it, I think Greg, you, or David addressed that they're not allowed to use that, any of that green space beyond their mission, which is for Little League baseball.
Where they currently are.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right, they're not allowed to make money off it unless it was concession, but I thought that was in there. And,
For the Little League contract, is that?
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the
Slammed through.
concession, yeah, that was.
So, addressing that was good. It's just, if there was ever another organization that wants to use those fields, would they be allowed to do it? Because I think there was language in the contract that said that they're not allowed to basically sublease,
Oh,
sublet any of that. So, how would that other organization
yeah,
be able to use it?
Yeah, I think, if the agreement were similar to the existing ones, then there wouldn't be the ability for another organization to use it. If a rec soccer league or someone approached us, we would look at, a park, most likely, would be the other space that would potentially be available.
Alright.
And this agreement, any agreement like this would be understand not looking to do that right now, so, but maybe in the future, they would come back the next time and say, well, now we wanna build another field, and the council would have to decide if that's something we wanna agree to at that time. It
Yeah,
would be a donation of services or, you know, the field and kind of they would pay for it and install it.
I would think lights would be something that they might wanna do, yeah.
Could be.
Because it's not just baseball, they also do softball,
Yeah.
so they really expanded what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And do they maintain the field and mow it?
Mhm.
So they, okay, so they take care of all. Now who, does the city take care of the former soccer fields currently?
So they would take that on,
It-
my
so-
understanding from,
Okay,
I haven't talked directly with them, but that's what Chris had mentioned.
And they
They
just-
had- They had done a trial last year, they went out and just
Oh,
mowed it to
okay.
see how long it would take them, so they have an idea of what
Okay.
they're getting into.
they just wanna use it as an extra play space, practice,
I'd
just,
have to ask them to tell us exactly what they're looking to do, but I assume it would be practice area if they're not building a fence and all that.
right, they're not altering the field in any
They
way,
could be
shape.
painting some lines on it, but I'm not sure.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm in agreement, let's reach out to them, say, yeah, tell us exactly what you need and bring all that back to us. I think as we get going, Greg, I think I just figured out what we could do is we can have like, one is we'll make sure that we're okay, that, you know, we're putting our input, what questions, concerns we have, and stuff like that. And then when we get ready to really look over the contract, at the next one, we'll have David here in case we wanna ask him nitty gritties about a contract, the contract. I think that would be better for everybody's time,
Okay.
so.
so do it in 2 phases.
Yeah,
Okay.
the first one is the concepts idea, second one will be, this is where we stand with this, and then, you know.
So at high level, in general, you're comfortable with sort of the same terms as what's in the other contracts?
Yep.
We're not talking about them paying us anything?
Mhm.
Yep. Yep. License agreement platform above Westcott lot, access 218, 224. This is Jimmy T's property
Yeah,
that we're talking about?
mhm,
Right, this had been discussed in quick last fall.
Yep.
mhm.
This agreement has been drafted by the city attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Find it. I have not approached property owner with this yet, after talking to Scott, we figured, let's have this high level conversation, is this kind of what you were looking for, or not to you, Scott, but you were on Click.
Yeah.
Is this kind of what we're looking for? We wanted to capture, you know, memorialize this use in some way. It's been this way for as long as anyone can remember, but there is no agreement allowing them to have this structure and this access on city property, which is the Westcott lot. So we have this, it allows them to continue to do that formally, provide insurance, and it also allows the city to revoke that. And it's not a
Mhm.
permanent easement. So, you know, if the city were to decide to develop that property,
Yeah.
build something there, or change it in some way, or
Mhm.
sell it, this wouldn't be a hindrance to that. Give the notice, cancel the agreement, they would have to remove or
Mhm.
discontinue that use, so.
Yeah, there was nothing in place to begin with, and
Mhm.
when we started doing stuff, we were trying to work with him, and then, he actually asked, he wanted to do some fencing work, and wanted to be able to tie into our fence, and
Mhm.
so we said we wanted to get something on file, because we had some concerns on who's responsible for what,
Okay.
so, that's the history behind it.
Okay.
So,
It looks good to me, but what you got, Len?
Greg, on the insurance, section 5, that agreement, I was good with the amount and the aggregate, but do we need to have it in there that the city would be supplied annually with the updated insurance?
I mean, we can add something like that.
I would feel a little bit more comfortable if we did that.
Yeah,
And my business would very large billboards, we supply our landowners with updated insurance policy annually, so that they know that they're are indemnified. Actually, yeah, David wrote this, it was well written. The fact that it was cannot be assigned without our written approval, that was good. And that we can have the ability to suspend or terminate. I noticed from the picture, Greg, that we've identified what's private and what's city.
Just to clarify, I think that image was created by DPW when we were looking at snow removal responsibilities.
Okay.
Um,
I'm thinking that the front is not, right?
Well, it's interesting how that works on Main Street, that, you know, half of that sidewalk is probably technically on private property, you know, where the coal chutes are in some cases. But what they're highlighting there is the city would do snow clearing on sidewalk heading, you know, east, you know, along there in front of the
Right.
Westcott lot.
Right.
Whereas they would do it further building. But I would probably revise the exhibit just to highlight just the platform area, because that's what we're doing. Maybe add a second to it, that shows a picture from below.
Something, thank you, 'cause, like, this is going to, if this is part of the agreement, this is going to get interesting.
Yeah.
You got anything?
Well, say for example, James Tomato just wanted to not do this any longer, would he immediately be responsible for removing the sections right away? I mean, within a certain period of time?
That's identified within
Mhm.
the lease,
Mm-hmm.
but if they don't uphold their end,
Mm-hmm.
and what consequences would happen from there.
And, yeah, so,
This contract
this-
protects the city, that's
yeah,
what this
yeah,
is.
I wanna make sure, well, that's my.
That's why we
concern.
asked, because we never had one.
Yeah,
And when we started that whole project with the wall down there, we,
Mhm.
there was pillars that were starting to come.
mm-hmm,
Who's responsible for it, what do we do? So the city, we did a couple things that probably weren't for us to do, but we did them.
mm-hmm.
And then Jim picked up some of the stuff that, so
So it's just,
we just needed something, and this is covering us.
Yeah.
Exactly
Okay.
what's going on, so.
so right now, is he responsible for any repairs?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
deck is his.
Okay,
It's basically, it's aerial encroaching the city's land. And this document is acknowledging that the structure is theirs, but they're to keep us insured to
Mhm.
protect the city,
mm-hmm,
and also that they have to maintain it.
maintain it. And so, the city will inspect it and make sure it's where it's supposed to be, I think, with
Right.
code
I mean, it's a commercial property, so it's inspected annually.
anyway,
Right.
and including this,
Right.
okay.
I believe it's, correct me if I'm wrong, every 3 years for plumbing and electrical, and smoke detectors is annually, but that's on the landowner. And then because this is commercial property, they're inspected annually also, right? I think that's how it
Most
goes.
everything, once you get, it used to be electrical every 9 years, I don't know where they're at in that, but it
Okay.
changes to 3 years
Right,
once they get it.
yeah, so
Okay,
there's eyes on it
yeah.
quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that one, does this one can move up, Greg, or you go to the property owner with the way it's written, or no, you gotta add that one spot, I forgot that.
Yeah, I can.
Just make sure it's all right with Dave, add that in there, and then, as he
If
go to
we're
the
gonna
property
add a
owner.
little insurance bit, I'll clarify the exhibits,
Yep.
discuss with the property owner, assuming they agree, just bring it to council.
Just bring it to council at that point, yep.
Significant changes that come about, we bring back here.
Yep. Yep. Right-of-way access easement agreement and GoNet Speed, and then license agreement with GoNet Speed, I guess. We can kind of do both those together, can't we, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay.
So GoNet Speed is a fiber optic internet provider that would like to enter the city of Indiana. We can't tell them no, but we can enter what we're proposing, some sort of a right-of-way agreement or easement agreement that just clarifies what they're doing, what approvals may or may not be required by the city. For the most part, I understand they're proposing, and they already have agreements with NICEAG to attach to NICEAG utility poles, which I guess are maybe jointly owned between NICEAG and project. That's not something that we would specifically need to approve, but they are within our right of way, so we can have an agreement for that. There may be some cases where they need to install underground conduit, fiber, or utility handholds, that sort of thing. All of that would be subject to association permits and coordination with city DPW as to where exactly that goes, so there's no utility conflict. So that is C, the right-of-way access easement agreement, generally. And that's something that their attorney and our city attorney are working on. I haven't seen a revised version of that sent back from them since we had a discussion with them about a week ago or something. A license agreement for streetlight adjustments, because the city owns the streetlights and the arms of both streetlights, which are attached to NICEAG poles. We have our agreement with NICEAG to be attached to them, since NICEAG is allowing GoNet Speed to attach their wires to their poles. That's going to be another thing on a pole. There are certain clearances that NICEAG requires based on the type of use, so that in some cases may require our streetlights to be adjusted in elevation. That's something that we have to be approving of, but ultimately NICEAG determines where everything on their poles can be located. So the agreement between the city and GoNet Speed is to allow GoNet Speed and their contractors to make those adjustments for the city based on what NICEAG requires. So it wouldn't be a cost to us, but it would be us allowing them to make those adjustments. That agreement had, was that attached?
It was.
I think it was, right?
Yeah, I actually highlighted that section which you just identified. I think it's the third or fourth whereas.
So that one is pretty much in a final draft on that. They would be looking, as far as I understand it, as soon as they have approvals, they would be looking to start their work. They're ready to begin. Again, the right-of-way access easement agreement, that would need to come back, because we don't have that.
And this will be a company that will also be paying a franchise fee.
Not a franchise fee, that's for a cable company only franchise agreements, like Spectrum providing cable. But for something like this, they would contribute to utilities gross receipts tax. I don't know what that would be, that would be based on their sales, if I understand. But franchise agreements are specifically for cable services.
But they're providing internet and data. So.
Internet, not cable, and I know it's
Oh,
not,
okay.
it doesn't entirely make sense when you think about it, but
Well, we're all streaming everything now, so. They're in direct competition with existing companies.
any other internet service provider, yeah.
Okay.
And we do not have agreements like the one we're looking to get with the right-of-way access agreement and with any other existing internet service providers. I think we should be pursuing that.
Right.
with them,
Absolutely.
find that.
Absolutely.
And we also, it's not on the agenda tonight, but we do need to renew our franchise agreement with Spectrum for the cable service.
Right,
That's
'cause-
something we can come back.
Yeah, because I've been bringing this up for the last 2-3 years, that I know there's a lot of money that we're leaving on the table through these franchise agreements, so that's why I'm asking. Okay. So, absolutely.
Were these drafts written by Dave, or were these just drafts that were given to us by GoNet?
The license
licensing agreement that would GoNet, but the next one's actually, Harper College. It's a right-of-way easement so that
Ah.
they can do the logging,
Oh,
because we have information on that.
Well, the right-of-way easement agreement, that is a GoNet speed thing, there is just no attachment for that yet, because that's the one we're still.
I was gonna say, I didn't find it.
Yeah.
But yet on our agenda, we don't have the Harper College, and that's the first document that we were provided.
That is, that's included, it's topic
No,
A.
it's included, but it's not on the agenda.
It's topic A.
Not anymore, because at
Oh.
Monday, they said
Oh.
it had already been satisfied, so it should have been removed from the packet.
Got my notes.
Oh, the first one that I had, though, it has access and use agreement.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
satisfied in between.
Oh, so we don't need to look at
You don't
Harper
need to
College.
look at that.
We talked about it at the last common council meeting, I was like,
Yeah, I was
Why
wondering,
are we looking at
because when I
this
saw the date on it, I thought, oh, I think this has already been,
It was clarified on Monday, it came off the agenda, but not out of the packet.
okay,
okay.
all right.
do you got any questions about GoNet?
So their product is being sold to the general public, and the only reason why we're having this conversation is because they're trying to utilize our light pole, which is part of our infrastructure. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, when they approached us regarding the streetlight adjustments,
Right.
they did not suggest an easement agreement, right? That was something that we looked into, because we were thinking, at the time, I was, well, do they need a franchise? I mean, I don't know. We
Right.
haven't really dealt with this before, let's try to figure it out. So that's what we came up with, the easement agreement, or right-of-way agreement, whatever it ends up being called.
Okay. And we don't have them with the other two companies, which we should enter into some kind of a, okay.
Now, I don't expect that there's gonna be much, if any, cost consideration or payment from them for those agreements, based on the conversations we've had so far, but I
Mhm.
guess we will see, what they come back with.
Oh, for touching up the infrastructure?
No, for the easement agreement.
Oh, the easement,
Right
yeah.
away. There's utility gross receipts tax that we'll receive. That would be their
Okay.
Are there particular poles that have been identified, or is that,
most of the city. Exactly what poles they can, I don't know, but they're looking to cover most of the city.
oh, most of the city? How long would this process take?
Was it 3 months?
Did it say here?
Is that-
Yeah, it was in 6
Yeah.
months.
Number
Number two
Oh, okay,
term.
number 2, 6 months.
6 months.
From the effective date, okay. And how much oversight will the city have regarding the work that they're doing?
Any street lights that they would need to be adjusting, will have to tell us about. You know, we'll have any input on that. I don't think that we can necessarily say no if NICEAG says there needs to be a certain.
Oh, it's really kind of out of our hands.
At least we know which ones they touch, so if they break them, they can fix them.
Yeah.
It does say that, you know, we have written review and approval ability there, but if we were to say, no, we don't want you to move that, NICEAG might have an issue, we would have to negotiate that. I mean, I don't know how much there would be, either a matter of inches or foot, but if it's something that ends up impacting the amount of light in the street, I'm not sure what our recourse is. You know, there's only so much room in the pole, it's NICEAG's pole, and they have the ability to determine where things are.
So are they putting their wires above the other two companies?
I don't know exactly where they're going. I think they might be the lowest one.
I would think that they would be the lowest one, so I'm trying to understand why our streetlights are even being, I guess they're just being proactive? I don't know, 'cause
Maybe
I'm.
the closest in some cases, I don't.
Now I gotta go look, cause I would think that they would be at the bottom, considering their last one up, and the other two have been there for.
Not unless they can't make the
Hundreds
clearance at
of
the
years.
bottom, so they gotta move the light up, then they gotta move the next line up, then they gotta move the next line up, and then they move their line up.
That's
That might happen.
probably more realistic of what's gonna happen, because
So is there anything that, I don't really have much for feedback on this one other than,
I don't.
you know, just an attorney looking it over and then just bring back the final to us.
So you want to come back to this committee or?
I think if the attorney looks it over and it's all right, I think, me personally, I think this would go up to the council.
Right. Even with the easement?
Yeah, I would think.
Okay.
Ooh, a couple going up to the council, yay. So. I think they covered all that.
Okay.
I'm gonna just put it out there, if there's anything that this committee wants to look at in the way of contracts that we got, or you think we should look at, just send me an email and we'll get it on the agenda and we'll discuss it. You know, there might be times, I think, that if we go into real harsh negotiation type stuff of contracts, might end up in executive session if we're discussing like monetaries and stuff like that. Those rules all apply to us, like it does on the council. But, you know, I think a lot of this late work like we did tonight, I think that's gonna be the best thing is we have the concept that comes to us, we kick it around like we did, and then we just have a final come back to us,
Okay, yeah.
just to double check it and kick it on. Unless you guys wanna do it a different way. So I think that would be a quicker meeting. So, got anything else you want?
Oh, as far as the contract, no.
No, just in general, because we're done with that part, this is just a.
Oh, in
Yeah.
general. So how will residents be notified when this is happening with GoNet Speed? Will there be a, you know, like, for example, what work has been going on recently? Will we be, our constituents?
Yeah, if there are traffic disruptions, like recent, I think there was pole replacements.
Yeah.
Jackson's been, there should be a detour or a traffic disruption. We like to share that information that NICEAG or the utility company gives us, so I would like to think we'll get
Okay,
updates from them, we can just share that.
okay.
Obviously, as far as recruiting customers, they're gonna be doing that, I'm sure. Something we'd be aware of. The service, it's ready to go.
I don't have anything else. Great, Carrie, you guys got anything? Good, I say we're adjourned.